Bob Woodward's explosive book on the Trump White House is officially out in stores. It's a depiction of a White House in chaos. Aides removing documents from Trump's desk. That part's well known. But some of the deeper themes are the role of the military and its access to the nuclear codes. These people with so much responsibility working to thwart Trump.
What Woodward details is again and again and again his military leaders, Secretary Mattis and others, just being alarmed by this president.
Some of them acting, as Mika said, like guardrails of democracy, trying to save the world. Maybe Jim Mattis falls into that category.
I can tell you here at the White House and under the leadership of General Kelly, we're a team. We're ensuring that the president gets the information that he needs to make incredibly important decisions.
My next guest has a unique perspective on this relationship between the military and the White House. Astrophysicist and director of the Hagen Planetarium in New York, Neil deGrasse Tyson. You could also recognize him from cameos on shows like The Big Bang Theory, or maybe you've seen his SNL impression by Kenan Thompson, or Tyson, along with another science guy, Bill Nye, posing with a presidential selfie right there. He's the author of 14 books, including the new book, Accessory to War, which argues that throughout our history, military advances often go hand in hand with wider scientific progress. For example, at the height of the Revolutionary War, it was George Washington saying it was absolutely necessary to get the latest tech from Europe, a telescope, and in one of the most famous paintings showing Washington crossing the Delaware, he is holding that telescope right there in his hand. I am honored to be joined today by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're going to get to this book, but I am curious, given your studies of the military, what you think about the leaks that generals are trying to stop the president's worst instincts.
What I can tell you is, if you walk the halls of the Pentagon, there are quotes everywhere drawn from the documents of our freedom. And even though the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, they will repeat throughout the Pentagon these quotes where they take an oath in the armed services of the United States. That oath is not to the president. Mm-hmm. The oath is to protect the Constitution. And it's a fascinating fact that the president is the commander-in-chief, and they give the orders. But at the end of the day, if the order does not match what you judge to be fulfilling the Constitution of the United States, the edicts of the Constitution of the United States, you're expected to disobey that order. The idea that you are protecting the Constitution, and the Constitution defines the United States, not any one president or another.
Now, your book here, Accessory to War, probes some interesting territory, because we hear a lot about business as an innovator and a job creator and a disruptor. But you say it is government, and explicitly government through the military, that has advanced a technology that's good for all of us.
Well, that's well known. So, for example, what businesses can do is they can invest in some innovative technology, but there's the expectation that there's going to be a return on that investment, either in the quarter or in the annual report, or at most 5 years hence. Governments, however, have much longer baselines of investment and expectations on the return on that investment.
Let me read from your book about the U.S. example, President Eisenhower announcing the approval of plans for launching these small unmanned Earth-circling satellites. And it says, Eisenhower recognized no modern country could be militarily preeminent without also being scientifically eminent. Does that have a policy implication for us right now?
Completely, because there was the day, I mean, he saw the transition between we're a mighty military because we have this many troops on the border, and we are a mighty military because we have the science and technology to render most of that even unnecessary, because you have intelligence that tells you where you need to put troops and why you need to put them where they are and how to attain the new high ground. And the new high ground in the late 50s and early 60s was space.
Space is something that, as you know, the current administration has talked about, but it seems like we might be experiencing a bit of a decline in scientific literacy in the White House. I want to play for you, for your reaction, a couple presidents over the years. Take a look.
Space is there, and we're going to climb it, and the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there.
Each of us all across this great land has a stake in maintaining and improving environmental quality.
It's supposed to be 70 degrees today. It's freezing here. Speaking of global warming, we need some global warming.
So if I take hairspray and if I spray it in my apartment, which is all sealed and
You're telling me that affects the ozone layer? Yes. I say no way, folks. No way.
How are we doing?
Well, if you have an elected official at any level who is scientifically illiterate or scientifically underinformed, all that simply says is that the electorate was scientifically underinformed because they're representing a voting base. And so I, as an educator, I don't generally spend time talking to politicians, unless they call me. But fine, as a courtesy, you have that conversation. But as an educator, I turn to the electorate and I say, if you think Earth is flat, that will compromise your ability to get jobs that depend on you knowing that Earth is round. Okay, you can still be the janitor, you could be the maid, you can do these things, but you're not going to be head of NASA, or you shouldn't be. All right? So we live in a free country. People have the right to think whatever they want about whatever they want, and I don't have issues with that. I just have issues if you think the wrong things about objective truths, and then you rise to power and influence legislation based on it. That's the unraveling of an informed democracy.
So that's the final question, given everything you're working on. When you look at the climate challenges that we have, when you look at extreme weather, when you look at the news today about whether the government's making it easier or harder to combat that, what do we as a citizenry do you think need to do the most?
Well, I think I hate to give this cliched answer, but it's about education. It's about knowing and understanding what science is and how and why it works. Right now it's taught in such a way that here's a satchel of facts, and you learn it, and then we test you on that, and then you get a grade, and then you're done. And you put the science class behind you. Now you take history and literature and this and that, as though this no longer matters to you once you took the test. When in fact, this matters more than anything because it affects the future of your nation, your health, your wealth, your security, as well as in some cases, the future of civilization itself. And when it has to do with climate, with energy, with global warming, with housing, with health, it affects us all.
Yeah. The book is Accessory to War. Neil deGrasse Tyson, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.